Welcome to this class. In this lesson, we are going to be looking at design and visual arts in PowerPoint, not just as a tool for our presentations, but even what we can also use as an external source and a design utility outside of PowerPoint. So we are starting with the crop utilities. Now, the crop utility in PowerPoint is a very effective tool that, when maximized well, will get a good and well furnished understanding of how we can be able to apply it in anything that we want to do that has to do with picture. So I have a shape in this case. Now, if you notice, I'm clicking on this particular shape, and anytime I'm clicking on a shape, you see at on my ribbon, a shape format is open for me. Now, this shape format you are seeing is a contextual tab that is usually added to our ribbon anytime we are dealing with shapes. So to format this shape, I can either come under the contextual tab and do all manner of things that I want to do from this particular pane. I can also right click on the shape and click on format shape, and it will also open an extensive sidebar on my right for me. Now, basically what I want to do with this shape first is to insert a picture into it. I want to fill it with a picture. Now I have a solid fill where I can add color and do any kind of editing with it. There is also gradient fill depending on what I want to do. But I want to focus on picture fill. Now, if you look at this picture texture fill, we have a source where we can actually either apply pictures, or if we have it on the clipboard, we can actually copy it. So I'm basically going to insert a picture from my file. So if I go to insert picture from file, so let me select a random picture and click on insert. Now I've been able to insert this picture inside my shape. Now, if you look at this image very carefully, you find out that it's a little bit distorted. Now, you notice that I mentioned earlier about contextual tabs. Now, you notice that apart from my shape format, there is also a picture format that has been included here. So when I come under the picture format, now there is a utility under the picture format ribbon, which is under the size group, and it is this crop utility. Now, if I come under crop utility, I can use either fill or fit. So if I use fit, you can see that the shape of the picture has been made back to its default aspect ratio. So I can fill its picture in such a way that it can actually cover the whole size of my shape without the picture losing compression. So I can also use my cursor to stretch it to a particular point that I wish or desire it to be. So after doing all of this, I can go back to my crop and I'll click on crop. So the moment I click on crop, it will fill that particular shape to my texture format. Now, I can also insert a picture. Let me insert another picture very quickly. So let me go to my downloads. So if I come under my downloads and I select a particular picture, let me select this picture. Now, if you look at this picture is a rectangular shape. Now, I can also crop this particular picture to a particular shape. Under the crop utility again, if you come under crop to shape, you can select the kind of shape you want to crop your picture to, and it will give you that particular form of shape that you are looking for. In my case, I cropped it into a pentagonal shape. And again, I can go under the crop. If I notice that my picture is kind of distorted, I can always go back under the crop and fill it or fit it depending on what I'm looking for. After which I can click on crop and it will give me my desired output. So the next thing we're going to be looking at is the what we refer to as the transparent overlay. Now, transparent overlay is a good way where we can apply transparency to whatever we have. If you look at what I have in this slide, this is actually a background fill. Now, if I come under, if I come under this and I right click on this particular slide and select format background, it will open this tab here for me. Now, this is transparency, right? I can adjust or choose how I want my transparency to be from 0 to 100%. But there's also another way we can control our transparency by using what we refer to as the transparent overlay. This happens most times probably once when we want to apply text on top of our image and we want it to be visible to our audience. So if I come and insert a shape, let me insert a shape, a rectangular shape over my slide in this particular format. So if I apply it in this particular format and give it a fill of black, now I can come under the transparent fill and I will just give it the level of transparency that I actually want it to have, depending on my choice in this case. And after which we can apply whichever kind of text we want, stack it on our slide. And this actually gives it a nice effect of whatever we are trying to do. Maybe it could be a presentation, or maybe probably you want to use it as an external source somewhere outside of PowerPoint. So this gives you a good feel of how you can give control to your transparency. You can also give it any kind of color that you want, depending on what tax is at hand and what you are actually working with. So let's move on to what we refer to as shape layers. Now, in PowerPoint, there is something we refer to as shape layers. If you have used other design tools, you'll be familiar with what we refer to as layers. If you are working with maybe applications like Illustrator, Photoshop, or CorelDRAW, we have what we call layers. Now, PowerPoint also has a way in which this particular shape works in unison. So in this particular slide, I have three shapes here. Now, if you look at these shapes, there's a way I can stack this particular object. These are just shapes, right? There is a way I can stack them on top of each other, which is primarily what layers is all about. Now, in PowerPoint, we have what we call the selection pane. If you go under your shape format, this is a contextual tab, like I told us earlier. Anytime we click on a shape, we will see this shape format. That's why the color is different from the other ribbons we have here. So if I come under shape format, I'll see under the arrange group, I will see something called selection pane. Now, if I click on the selection pane, you can see all of the shapes that I have is listed on my selection pane. So I can choose the way in which I want these objects to be stacked on top of each other. If I want this cylinder to be stacked on top of this this tool that is colored in red, I can just click on my shape and just drag it up, and you can see it is stacked above it. Now, if you look at this U-turn arrow, if I want it to be stacked below the shape that is colored red, I can bring it down and you can see it has gone below it. There's another way I can do that by right clicking on it. If I can right click on it and I click on, I can either click on bring to front, it will bring it to front, or I can use the selection pane. You can also rename your selections depending on whatever, depending on how fitting you want it to be. You can rename, give them names of how you want to be able to identify them. So that's basically how layers work, and it's going to help you a great deal when you begin to go deep in slide design and you begin to see the need for you to order your works as you progress with it. So the next thing we're going to be looking at is what we refer to as aligning of objects. Now, if you look at the objects or the shapes on my slide, there is a way we can actually align them together. Now, if I want to align these shapes together, I can hold my shift key, select the shapes that I want to align, under the shape format again on the drawing group can come under arrange. Now, if you come click under arrange, you will see under the position object, you will see align. Now, I can align to different, I can align to the left, to the right, to the center, as the case may be. Let's say I want to align this to top. If I select align top, you can see everything has been aligned to the top. So I can also align bottom, align center, depending on what I'm doing at hand. Now, there's also something that we can also do. Now, if you look at the spacing between these objects, you find out that the spaces are not even. Under the align tab, also, I can also make the spaces to be even. If you come under distribute, now you can distribute horizontally or you can distribute vertically. But in this case, we are dealing with an horizontal element. So if I select distribute horizontally, you can see the spaces between them are now even. So this is a great utility that you are going to be needing if you want efficiency and you want order in your slide designs. So the next thing we're going to be looking at is margin of shapes. Now, this margin of shapes is a very important utility that you are going to be needing in your works. You know, if you are familiar with something that we call the Pathfinder panel in Illustrator, it is a tool that helps us to create shapes from different shapes as well. So this particular um, utility also work in alignments. So if I have two shapes here, all right? Now with these two particular shapes that I have, I can actually merge these shapes together. I can merge the shapes together. Now, after clicking both of these shapes, now if I come under, I've placed it under my quick access toolbar. If I come under, if I come under union, if I come under union, I can use union to match these shapes together. Now there is combine, there is fragments. Fragments will break the shapes into different pieces. Then we have something that we refer to as subtract. Subtract will remove one element from the other, depending on the shape that you actually click first. Intersect will give you the union or the things that both shapes have in common, while fragments will scatter them into different pieces. So you can actually create what we refer to as free form shapes out of this kind of utility. So the next one we're going to be looking at is smart art. Now, smart art is something that is very essential when working with PowerPoint. You are going to be needing it even while you are trying to quickly come up with designs or quick, slick presentations while you may be in a hurry or you are running out of ideas. Now, these are just outlines, that are divided by bullets. Now I can just apply smart art to them, to give them some kind of swift, sleek designs that I can also embed. Now, depending on what I'm doing at hand, that's going to warrant the kind of smart art that I may be finding interesting for me, right? So just to let you know that these are smarter design that you can also use. It does not also end there. You can, format them and choose the way in which you want them to appear. You can also give it different types of color or formatting as the case may be. So there's another thing that I would also like you to know, which we refer to as vectors, where we may be familiar with vectors. Vectors are shapes that are, composed of mathematical parts. These shapes are not usually distorted, no matter how you zoom no matter how you zoom deep to view them, vector shapes are not usually distorted. Now, we can also edit vector shapes even inside of PowerPoint. This shape is a shape that I import this particular shape from Illustrator into the PowerPoint interface. Now, we can also maximize the use of our merge tools that we discussed earlier. We can also use those particular merge tools to create something that is synonymous to this particular one. But just to let us know that you can also import vectors from other applications. Now, anytime you import a vector into the PowerPoint interface, it will open a contextual tab called graphics formats. You know, we have seen shape format and we have seen picture format, but anytime you import a vector, it should usually be in graphic format. Now, anytime it is in graphic format, you cannot do anything with it. You need to convert it to shape. Now, on my graphics format tab, right under, if you look at the first group here, which is titled change, you will see something here called convert to shape. Now, you need to click on convert to shape. So the moment you click on convert to shape, you'll be able to edit those types of graphics in your application. Now, if you notice that after converting it to shape, it opens a shape format. It's changed from a graphics format to a shape format, meaning that I can actually edit it and do whatever I want with it. Now, if you look at this is actually grouped, right? So to ungroup it, I can use the shortcut key, Ctrl Shift G, and it will ungroup it. Or you can do something like right click on it, come under this group and click on ungroup it. Equally what ungroup it. So that means I can actually change the color, move them around and apply whichever kind of animations I want to apply depending on what I want to do at hand. So it's very important to note that you can import our vectors into PowerPoint and also edit those particular vectors. So lastly, we have add-ins in PowerPoint. Now, add-ins are such they are of great importance. They are not necessarily built into the PowerPoint, but there are things that we can actually use, even in our presentations. Now, if you look at this add-in here, Chat GPT for PowerPoint, this is an add-in. It is not installed or it did not come with PowerPoint, but it's actually built into it. So you can install those add-ins even in your workflow. I also have something like the QR code. You can generate QR code. This is also an add-in that is in PowerPoint, which you can also leverage. We have the open pixels and we also have icons that we can equally use in PowerPoint. So a these are just a tidbit of many things that you can do with PowerPoint. You can use it even as your own slick design tool. If you are trying to familiarize yourself with Illustrator or CorelDRAW, you can also even include PowerPoint as a slick workflow for you. It has things like transitions and animations that can also help you to generate ideas and add beauty to your design workflow. So see you next time. This is where we are going to draw the curtain for this class. Thank you for watching.